Welcome back to Thailand ChitChat. Today we're going to be talking about coaching and training and how it can apply in today's fast-changing environment. Our guest is Peter Bull, who runs a Ditdah Company, which operates out of Thailand and Australia, serving the region. Peter's background is he has developed and delivered training programs and coaching programs throughout Southeast Asia, or Asia, for the past 25 years, working for companies like PwC, KPMG, LHH, Hollysim Group, before starting his own company, being Ditdah. So some of the training programs he's involved in include leadership, team development, strategy sessions, and of course, he runs individual and group coaching programs. So, welcome, Peter.
Good to be back again.
Okay. So, just to start off, what is your take on development of training and its approach? For example, face-to-face and digital. There's a changing environment and changing ways of delivering.
Yeah, look, it is. If you look at the COVID years, 2020 and 21, it really changed people's approach and expectation. And the big change was this birth of Zoom and similar sort of technologies. Now, Zoom had been around for a long time already. Mm-hmm. And that really, it caused people or forced people to start to consider a digital solution. And there was sort of a rush to online this, online that. It started to come back a little bit because some of the research is saying that 100% online, the retention is not as great as, let's say, a mixed program. So my personal opinion is I think the blended solution, that's a mix of face-to-face live plus some sort of digital solution, whether it's an app or online. I think that's the future. I think that mixing will be really powerful.
So the digital can be looked as a sort of reinforcement.
Yeah, look, it's a really good way to think about it. What I've said to quite a few of my clients is go ahead and run your half day, your 1 day, your 2 day program. But if possible, pair a digital solution to it. Now that could be an app. It could be some online material people can get later. Why should you do that? The reality is that you put a bunch of employees in a workshop. Human nature is you don't concentrate for 8 hours. You're going to space out.
Yeah.
Or it could be that you're going to go out for a durry, or that you're a sales guy and someone calls you. So there will be times when you'll miss bits and pieces. In our part of the world, it could be that if the language is being delivered in English, perhaps that's your second or third language. So some bits you might not actually get. So by pairing that live session with a digital version, it gives you lots of redundancy, lots of. It removes the need for a follow-up if someone misses something.
Yeah, because I've noticed when there's training programs, you see everybody scribbling notes down and all stuff, when actually they should be focusing what the training is about, because that's all part of the documentation they get to follow anyway. The notes are there. Just to understand the difference, you're doing coaching and you're doing training. What's the difference between coaching and training?
Look, there's lots and lots of stuff that's been written about this. For me, the easiest way to think of it is with training, the idea is going from me to you. With coaching, the idea is coming from you, not from me. All I'm doing is creating an environment so you can think about, remember your experience, your knowledge, use your ideas to solve your problem. So it's very much training, mentoring, etc. It comes from me to you. Coaching, it's going from you to you.
Right, and you're basically making them think for themselves, effectively.
Well, you're creating an environment so that the person can step back from their reality, look at what they've been doing, and think, well, geez, why did I do that? I should do this instead.
Right. So, when should people be looking at using coaching or using training?
Look, there was a model a long time ago called situational leadership, and there's been quite a few variations of that. For me, I like to think of it as will versus skill. Will is I want to do it. I'm confident. I'm motivated, etc. Skill is I actually have the ability to do this. If a person has the ability, they've done all the training, they've got years and years of experience, but they're not doing it, why would you send them on a training course? It wouldn't make sense. Why would you tell them how to do it? They already know. They probably know better than you. So a simple way to think of it is when a person comes to you and they need help or they're not doing what they need, ask yourself, should this person know how to do this? And that's when you start to consider coaching.
Right. So when you think about it, it's psychology you're sort of using. It sounds like, oh, well, anyone could do coaching. But is it really that simple?
It is. Look, it doesn't matter which of the many, many models you look at, whether you look at instant payoff, grow, Oscar, Star AR, etc., etc. Intellectually, they're very easy. The hard part is disciplining yourself as the coach not to become part of the problem. And where it gets hard is, especially if, let's say, I was coaching you and you come to me with something that's really interesting, I start to get interested and I start to ask questions to understand. That's not coaching. That's not my job to understand. It's not my job to solve your problem. It's your job to solve your problem. So intellectually, easy. Practically, to discipline yourself, pretty hard.
So not to ask specific questions about the problem.
Yeah, because it's not your responsibility.
Okay, you're trying to encourage them to think about that and come out with that solution from their own knowledge.
Correct. Because if they didn't have the knowledge and the experience, you shouldn't be coaching, because that's training.
Okay, that sort of simplifies it, yeah. Okay, so how is this applied to a business? Because you were discussing before, on the coaching side, people associate that with business, but it's actually not. You can actually take these learning skills and even bring it into your own family, I expect.
Well, I think
a teenager trying to make them think for themselves. Think about it.
I think we do it as part of our day-to-day life and don't even realise. There's I'm sure a few of your viewers will have seen Despicable Me, the Despicable Me series.
Yeah.
And I forget, maybe it's Despicable Me number 3. I can't remember exactly. But there's a scene where Gru is sitting on the stairs, really looking sad, etc., etc. And I think one of the little girls, I think her name is Agnes, it's raining. So she comes out with an umbrella. And he says, oh, thank you, Agnes. She said, what's wrong? And he says, do you remember how you said that I like Lucy? She said, yes. He said, well, turns out I do. Oh, it's fantastic. No, not really, because Lucy's leaving for Australia. Agnes says, is there anything I can do? Can I help? He says, no, sweetheart, nothing you can do. Then she says, is there anything you can do? Fantastic example. And you know, if you've seen the movie, if you haven't, it's a pretty good movie. It's pretty funny. But when I saw that, I just thought to myself, wow, what a great example of coaching. And unintended.
Right. So applying this to business. So if someone's listening to this and looking at it, from their business point of view, say, well, coaching, why would I bring that into my business?
Yeah.
So put it in why would people be looking at coaching at all for their business?
Coaching market is growing at a phenomenal rate. I don't know the stats. Most coaching clients are successful individuals. Many top CEOs, top C-level, top VPs have a personal coach. So why should you do it in your business? Because it adds to the entire engagement strategy you have. And remember about that training, mentoring, hands-on experience is all about information going from here to the individual.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching is a way to get this person motivated, take control of their life, feel successful, feel happy, because they've solved their problem, their challenge themselves. So they become even more motivated.
To build confidence in them as well.
Yeah, so it becomes a total engagement strategy. I had a guy ask me the other day, he said that this particular head of level keeps coming to him for advice and advice and advice. And I said, well, what's the problem? He said, well, I want this guy to actually start making decisions for himself. He said, so tell me what happened. Tell me the last time he came and asked for help. Okay, happened yesterday. What did he say? This. What did you say? What do you mean? I said, well, what were your exact words? Oh, I told him what to do. And I asked him, so every time he comes, you take this approach? He said, oh, so you're telling me that I shouldn't tell him what to do? I said, I'm not telling you anything. But what you've told me is that every time he comes, you help him. So he keeps coming back. So you help him. He keeps coming back. So you answer his question. If you want to change that cycle, something has to change.
Mm-hmm. And then you have to say, well, what do you think should change?
Yeah, correct. Look, it's there's a guy called.
It's quite a lot of trust. Then that person that you're coaching has to have some real trust in the coach that they can really open up and.
Yeah, look, absolutely. If we talk about an external coach, one of the first sessions before there's a contract will be a meeting for the purposes of determining chemistry. Just because you know how to coach, it doesn't mean you can coach everyone. There are some people that you meet and you think, wow, we could never ever. We're very hard to get on with this guy. And there are others that you meet and you've got an instant warmth to them. So most external coach, I would think, start off with a chemistry check, and providing the chemistry there is good. Now, if we're talking internal to the business, that talks back to, if you're my boss, how often do we talk? If we only ever talk at performance appraisal time, why would I trust you?
Mm-hmm.
And we should be speaking on a regular basis.
Okay, so when you also do programs where you have group sessions, and it's basically for like middle management, how to coach their staff, basically motivate them effectively. Yeah. And the common thing, I don't think it's just Asia. We talk about Asia because we're in Asia, where people believing themselves to come up with their own thoughts, their own ideas, and that also comes alongside empowerment as well. So when you have coaching programs, how does that work when you're trying to get maybe 10 managers and teaching them how to coach? Yeah. How does that work? We're not teaching them, you're coaching them to coach.
No, you can't be, because you're teaching them to coach.
Right, this is training now, yeah?
Yeah, now we've gone back to training, assuming that they don't know how to coach already. Right. One of the questions you asked before was, how hard is coaching? And really this relates to if you're going to teach somebody how to coach, whichever of the models that their company uses, there needs to be a period of learning. So they need to understand the model. And if it's like, for example, GROW, goal, reality, opportunity, and will, they need to understand the theory. They need to understand, well, what does GROW look like? How can I position that? What sort of questions can I do? What can't I do? And they need to understand for the G, the R, the O, and the W. So when teaching coaching, the way that we approach it is we give them the theory, and as soon as we have confirmed they've understood intellectually, we move to practice and practice and practice. At least 3 practices of that particular item with feedback, just to get them back on track, just to make sure that they've got it intellectually, but they're doing it. They're not falling into the trap of getting involved in the problem themselves.
So practical application.
Yeah, so if we do it like I did a 2-day series of 2-day programs just recently for a cement group. And of the 2 days, I would imagine the vast majority was hands-on practice with feedback and feedback and feedback. And at the end of the 2 days, we did a little circle around, what did you get? What was the aha or takeaway? And many of them said, the big difference is that I had heard of this before, I had read it better before, I had learned about it before, but now I believe I know how to do it.
Right, so that you teach them basically how to apply it. So what makes a good coach?
I would think a good coach is someone that is willing to listen, that is a bit humble. And I choose the term humble because as a coach, it's not about you. Mm-hmm. Really, what you've done in your life really isn't relevant. It's a person that is able to discipline themselves, ask questions that will create an environment for the person being coached to think and step out of their world and do all those things. You must have high integrity, because what you hear can never ever be shared with anyone. Mm-hmm. Top of my head, that's what I would think.
So you have to write an NDA and all this kind of thing. Okay, so what about your approach to coaching and training as opposed to other trainers? What's your philosophy?
I think the focus has to be on what do you want the person to do as a result of this period of learning. And so for your viewers, my advice would be when you're speaking with your vendors, actually look at how are they going to measure impact, sustainable impact. Don't focus on the learning outcomes, what's going to be learned, what's going to happen in the classroom. That's a given. Instead, get them to think about, get them to talk about and show you evidence of how are they going to measure and ensure sustained behavioural change. That's what I think from a training perspective. And that doesn't matter what you're coaching, what you're training, whether it's technical or soft skills, should always be based on what's the outcome you want. And learning is not an outcome, it's an enabler to achieve the thing you're trying to get to. Coaching, look, there's lots of really good coaches around. There's lots that are not that great. When you interview your potential coach, ask yourself, is this person somebody that will be able to put their ego on the table over here and focus solely on creating an environment for the person being coached to actually solve their problems themselves.
Okay, so just to round off, what are the main sort of programs you're pushing at the moment, or you're dealing with at the moment?
Main things are coaching is becoming pretty big, which is obviously, I guess, part of the conversation. Links to being agility, and so on, and leadership never seems to go away.
Okay, so thank you very much, Peter.
Pleasure.
Very enlightening. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Please don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Coming up will be some more interviews, and don't forget we've got the Paddy Report and the Hua Hin Report. And if you have any suggestions, please let us know. We'd always like to hear from you. Okay, we'll speak to you next time, and thank you very much.